Humanity's one-word answer to the Council's tribute demand stuns the galaxy. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. Over 1,000 species watched as Earth's representatives stood before the imposing assembly of galactic leaders, their eyes burning with expectation. The demand had been clear. Humanity was to pay tribute to the Council in exchange for their continued inclusion in the galaxy's most powerful alliance. The Council had delivered similar ultimatums to countless species before. Those who complied enjoyed a modicum of security. Those who resisted, well, the ruins of their homeworlds spoke for themselves. Humanity, intoned High Arbiter Zyvan, his segmented mandibles clicking with practiced menace, you have risen far beyond your station. Your rapid expansion, your defiance of established trade routes, and your refusal to submit to Council protocols have marked you as a threat to balance. Thus, the Council demands tribute, a tenth of your resources annually, and a dismantling of your orbital defenses. Compliance ensures prosperity. Resistance ensures extinction. The chamber buzzed with quiet chatter. Many species pitted the humans. Their worlds were rich in resources, their ingenuity undeniable, but none could stand against the might of the Council's combined fleets. Ambassador Nora Vale stepped forward. Her posture was upright, her expression calm, though her emerald-green eyes carried a defiance that made even the most war-hardened generals uneasy. High Arbiter, she began, her voice carrying effortlessly across the chamber, humanity acknowledges the Council's demand. The silence grew heavier. Every delegate leaned forward, eager to hear the terms of Earth's submission. But Vale continued, her voice cold as the void. We have one word for you. She paused, letting the moment stretch, the tension palpable. Then she said it. No. The chamber exploded into chaos. No. Arbiter Zyvan sputtered, his mandibles clicking erratically. No. Do you understand what you are saying? We do, Vale replied, her tone unwavering. Humanity will not pay your tribute. We will not dismantle our defenses. And we will not be cowed by threats. You face annihilation, roared a delegate from the reptilian Dresser coalition. Vale's lips twitched into the faintest hint of a smile. We've faced extinction before. Ice ages, supervolcanoes, asteroid impacts, pandemics, wars of our own making. Yet we endure. We adapt. We thrive. So no, we will not bow. If you wish to test us, you'll find humanity ready. For a moment, the chamber was stunned into silence. Then came the murmurs. The whispers spread like wildfire among the delegates. Species that had long been subjugated by the Council's iron fist suddenly saw a glimmer of something they hadn't felt in centuries. Hope. Ambassador Vale, Zyvan hissed, his voice dropping to a venomous whisper, this defiance will cost you dearly. Your worlds will burn. Perhaps, Vale said, locking eyes with him. But we will not burn alone. With that, she turned on her heel and walked out, leaving the Council chamber in stunned silence. It wasn't long before humanity's one-word answer spread across the galaxy. No's became a rallying cry for countless oppressed species, a declaration of defiance that sent shockwaves through the galaxy's power structure. And as humanity prepared for the inevitable storm, they stood united, their message clear. Some things are worth fighting for. Chapter 1. The Council's Demand. The Galactic Council Chamber was a place of grandeur, the pinnacle of millennia-old diplomacy among hundreds of species. Its towering spires and gleaming holograms reflected the collective wisdom and power of the galaxy's most influential civilizations. Today, however, the chamber was rife with tension. Supreme Chancellor Ixar of the Arlokians addressed the assembly, her voice an imperious hum that resonated through the domed hall. Esteemed representatives, it is clear that humanity's recent ascension to the stars has disrupted the balance. Their unchecked growth and ambition cannot go unaddressed. A murmur spread through the chamber, punctuated by the fluttering wings of the Avialan emissaries and the clicking mandibles of the Ctheric delegates. Humanity was new, but their impact had been undeniable. In less than a century, they had established colonies on the outskirts of Council space, defied trading norms, and most troubling of all, demonstrated an unnerving knack for technological innovation. Ixar continued, her multifaceted eyes narrowing. To maintain order, the Council demands that humanity pay tribute, as is custom for all emerging species. This will ensure their respect for our laws and traditions. Tribute demands were not uncommon. For centuries, they had served as a reminder to young civilizations of their place in the hierarchy. Resources, technology, and even entire colonies had been ceded in the name of galactic unity. Humanity's representatives, however, had yet to respond. The chamber doors parted with a low hum, and two human delegates entered. One was Ambassador Claire Ward, a composed woman with sharp green eyes and a practiced, diplomatic air. The other, to the surprise of many, was a civilian. A tall man with a rugged demeanor and an unshaven face. He wore a simple jacket emblazoned with the emblem of the Terran Confederacy. Chancellor Ixar's mandibles twitched in disapproval. "You bring a civilian to these proceedings?" Ambassador Ward's voice was calm but firm. "This is Elias Voss, a representative of Earth's citizenry. Humanity believes in transparency and democracy. It is fitting that one of our own stands here today." Voss stepped forward, meeting Ixar's gaze without a hint of deference. "Let's skip the pleasantries. What exactly do you want from us?" Ixar's antennae stiffened. "Your species is required to provide a tribute of resources, technology, and labor to the Council. Specifically, 70% of your starship production and the relinquishment of your outlying colonies." The demand was met with stunned silence. Even among the Council members, whispers of surprise rippled through the chamber. Such terms were unprecedented. Voss's expression darkened. 70%? And our colonies? Ixar's tone remained cold. "This is non-negotiable. Failure to comply will result in sanctions and, if necessary, military intervention." Ambassador Ward glanced at Voss, who gave her a slight nod. She stepped back, letting him take the lead. He turned to face the assembly. "You think you can bully us because we're the new kids on the block? Because we don't have the numbers or the fleets you do?" He paused, his voice carrying a weight that silenced the entire chamber. "But you've made a mistake. Humanity doesn't bow. Ever." Ixar's mandibles clacked together in irritation. "You would defy the councils?" Voss stepped closer to the center of the chamber, his voice rising.
"No."
"We're giving you our answer." The room tensed. Delegates leaned forward, awaiting the response that would shape the galaxy's future. Voss spoke one word. "No." Chapter 2. The Ripple Effect. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, their voices a cacophony of disbelief and outrage. The Avialan representative's feathers puffed out in indignation, while the Ctheric envoy's mandibles clicked furiously. Chancellor Ixar's multifaceted eyes glimmered with fury. "Silence," she bellowed, her voice amplified by the chamber's acoustics. The uproar subsided into a tense silence, but the atmosphere remained electric. "Human," Ixar hissed, "do you understand what you have done? Defiance of the Council is tantamount to war." Voss's gaze was unwavering. "We understand perfectly. But let me make something clear. Humanity didn't claw its way out of the mud, survive centuries of war, and conquer the stars to be anyone's servant." A holographic display activated, projecting a map of Council space. Ixar gestured toward the human territories, highlighted in pale blue. "Your territories are isolated and vulnerable. Do you truly believe you can withstand the might of the councils?" Ambassador Ward stepped forward, her voice cool and measured. "Chancellor, humanity's strength isn't just in our technology or our ships. It's in our resilience. Every challenge we've faced has made us stronger. And we've learned one crucial lesson. Unity is our greatest weapon." Ixar scoffed. "Unity? Among a species as fractious as yours?" Ward's expression hardened.
"Yes."
"Because when faced with an existential threat, humanity comes together. And make no mistake, Chancellor, your demands are an existential threat." The chamber fell silent again, the weight of her words settling over the delegates. "You claim to value unity," Voss said, "but what you really value is submission. Humanity, we'll never submit. If that means war, so be it. We'll fight. And when we fight, we don't stop. Ixar's mandibles quivered, her composure slipping. You will regret this. Ward's gaze was unyielding.
Perhaps.
But regret isn't fear. And fear is what you're banking on. As the humans departed the chamber, their defiance left an indelible mark. Delegates from other species exchanged uneasy glances. Humanity's refusal was unprecedented, a direct challenge to the Council's authority. The news spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Broadcasts replayed Voss's defiant no, and debates erupted on every inhabited world. To some, humanity's boldness was an inspiration. To others, it was a reckless gamble. On Earth, the response was immediate. Citizens rallied in support of their delegates, their defiance igniting a surge of patriotism. Factories ramped up production, and research facilities worked tirelessly to enhance humanity's defenses. The message was clear. If the galaxy wanted a fight, humanity would be ready. But humanity was not alone in its defiance. Across council space, whispers of dissent grew louder. Other species, long oppressed by the Council's demands, saw humanity as a beacon of hope. Secret communiques were sent, alliances formed in the shadows. The Council, meanwhile, was in turmoil. Some members argued for immediate military action, while others cautioned against underestimating humanity. The Avialan representative, a slender figure with iridescent plumage, voiced what many feared to admit. If we attack and fail, the consequences will be catastrophic. Humanity's example could spark rebellions across the galaxy. Ixar dismissed the notion with a wave of her clawed hand. They are but one species. Their defiance will be crushed and order restored. Yet, even as she spoke, doubt gnawed at her. Humanity's defiance was not just a challenge, it was a declaration of intent. The galaxy's balance of power was shifting, and the Council could no longer ignore the storm on the horizon. Chapter 3. The Ripple Effect. The vast halls of the Galactic Council chamber buzzed with uneasy silence as representatives from thousands of species stared at the human delegation. The words still hung in the air, a defiant thunderclap reverberating in the hearts and minds of all who heard it. Humanity had answered the Council's demand for tribute with a single word, no. Ambassador Diana Carter, head of the Terran delegation, remained seated at her station, her expression an unreadable mask. Behind her, a holographic display projected Earth's pale blue sphere, a symbol of unity and resolve. The shock on the faces of the Council members was almost palpable. Councillor Trivex of the Vortari Collective, his translucent, jellyfish-like form shimmering with agitation, broke the silence. Ambassador Carter, perhaps you misunderstand the gravity of this situation. Tribute ensures the stability and protection of all member species. With respect, Counselor, Carter replied, her voice calm but firm. Earth does not require protection, nor do we believe stability comes from coercion. We will not pay tribute. Gasps echoed across the chamber. The Council was unaccustomed to defiance, especially from a species so recently admitted to their ranks. Whispers rippled through the assembly, like wind over grass. High Chancellor Zyval, a towering insectoid whose chitin shimmered with iridescent hues, raised a clawed limb for silence. His multifaceted eyes glinted coldly as he addressed Carter. Humanity's refusal disrupts the harmony of this council. Tribute is not optional. It is a sacred tradition, a cornerstone of our collective security. Carter's gaze met Zyval's without flinching. Tradition is not justification for extortion, Chancellor. Humanity will stand on its own. The murmur of voices grew louder. Some species, particularly those who had long chafed under the burden of tribute, exchanged glances. Could they, too, defy the Council? Could they risk what humanity was risking? The meeting adjourned in disarray, but the consequences of Earth's defiance were only beginning to unfold. Back on Earth, news of the Council's demand and humanity's refusal had spread like wildfire. Broadcasts, social media, and even local discussions were ablaze with commentary. In a small bar in Nairobi, patrons gathered around a holoscreen. Do you think they'll attack us? A young woman asked, worry creasing her brow. A grizzled ex-soldier sitting nearby shook his head. If they do, they'll regret it. Humanity's always been underestimated. They think we're just a backwater species. They've got no idea what we're capable of. Similar conversations played out across the globe. The world's governments, normally fractious and divided, had found unity in the face of external pressure. For the first time in centuries, humanity spoke with one voice. In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, a joint task force monitored a recently constructed orbital defense platform. Its cutting-edge railguns and energy shields gleamed under artificial lighting. "Are we ready?" asked Admiral Lena Torres, her voice steady despite the enormity of the situation. "As ready as we'll ever be," replied Commander Malik. "If they come, they'll find Earth a hard target." The Galactic Council's response was swift. A fleet of warships, a show of force, was dispatched to the Sol system. Officially, they claimed it was to ensure humanity understood the importance of compliance. Unofficially, it was a threat. When the fleet arrived, they found Earth's orbital space bristling with activity. Defense platforms, massive satellites, and even civilian vessels had been retrofitted with weaponry. Humanity had prepared. Admiral Clyrax of the Zorathian Imperium, commander of the Council's fleet, hailed Earth's leaders. His visage, reptilian and imposing, filled the screens in the Terran Defense Command Center. "Earth," he growled, "you will stand down and accept the Council's terms. Resistance is futile." President Amina Okaro, representing Earth, responded with quiet determination. "We will not yield, Admiral. This is our home. If you wish to take it, you'll have to fight for it." The standoff lasted days. The Council's fleet, though technologically advanced, was hesitant to attack. Humanity's defenses were untested but formidable. And then there was the question of morale. Other species were watching, waiting to see if humanity's defiance would spark a revolution. It was in this tense atmosphere that the first cracks appeared in the Council's authority. Chapter 4. The Sparks of Rebellion. As the Council's fleet lingered in Sol, the galaxy's fringes began to stir. Humanity's refusal had ignited a flame in the hearts of countless species. In the Aurelian Confederacy, a species of bird-like beings known for their subservience to the Council, a young leader named Serikvier called for a vote to abolish their tribute system. "If the humans can say no, why can't we?" she argued to her people. The Drevlins, a hardy race of miners, went further. On the resource-rich moon of Valkera, they overthrew their council-appointed overseers, declaring independence. Their leader, a gruff worker named Krell Therax, sent a message to Earth. "You have shown us the way. We will fight for our freedom." These actions sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. Member species began to question their leaders. Protests erupted on dozens of worlds, with citizens demanding the end of tribute and greater autonomy. Back in the Sol system, Admiral Clyrax faced a dilemma. His fleet was powerful, but engaging Earth in open combat risked heavy casualties and further unrest across the galaxy. Reports of rebellion grew daily, and some of his captains began to express doubts about their mission. On Earth, humanity's leaders held firm. President Okoro convened a global summit, broadcast live to the galaxy. Her speech was a rallying cry for freedom. "We stand at a crossroads," she declared. "The Galactic Council claims to uphold peace and order, but it does so through fear and oppression. Humanity rejects this. We choose sovereignty, justice, and equality. To all species yearning for freedom, you are not alone." Her words resonated far beyond Earth. On the Council's homeworld of Sizon, dissidents gathered in secret. A coalition of young diplomats, soldiers, and thinkers began to plan for change. They called themselves the Coalition for Galactic Reform and adopted a simple motto: freedom for all. The tipping point came when a council cruiser, the Aegis of Unity, defected to Earth's side. Its captain, a Vishari named Lyren, broadcast his reasons across the stars. "I was born into a system that demanded obedience. Today, I choose freedom. Humanity has reminded us what it means to stand tall. I will not fight for tyranny." The Council's grip was slipping, and they knew it. High Chancellor Zyval called an emergency session. His voice, once commanding, now carried an edge of desperation. We cannot allow this insubordination to continue. Humanity must be made an example. But his words rang hollow. More counselors voiced concerns. Even some of the most loyal species questioned the wisdom of escalating the conflict. In the end, it was the Council's own arrogance that undid them. Humanity's stand had revealed the cracks in their facade of unity. The galaxy was changing, and no amount of force could stop it. As the Council fleet withdrew from Sol, the first stars of rebellion began to burn brighter. Humanity had not just defied the Council, they had lit a fire of hope across the galaxy. Chapter 5. The Council's Shock. The Grand Council Chamber, an opulent hall carved from shimmering starstone, was usually a place of calm deliberation. Delegates from the galaxy's most advanced civilizations gathered here to ensure order and balance. Today, however, the atmosphere was anything but serene. The Council's speaker, a tall, thin Selenth with glistening blue scales, stood at the central podium. His voice, usually calm and melodic, now trembled with barely concealed frustration. Projected on a holoscreen behind him was humanity's one-word response to the Council's tribute demand: "No." "This is unprecedented," the speaker declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. Never before has a member species outright refused a tribute request from the Council. The assembled delegates murmured among themselves. For eons, the Council's demands had been met with acquiescence, if not enthusiasm. To defy the Council was to invite economic ruin, social ostracization, or worse. And yet, humanity's curt refusal hung in the air like a defiant flag. "Perhaps they did not understand the implications," suggested Varnix, a rotund, furred representative from the planet Kaltha. "Humans are a younger species. They may not grasp the gravity of their decision." "Oh, they understand perfectly," said Taliana of the Elisari, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's light. Her tone was clipped. "This is not ignorance, it's defiance. Humanity has always been unpredictable." The speaker raised a hand for silence. "We must act decisively. A united front is essential. If we allow one species to defy us, others may follow. The stability of the galaxy is at stake." "What do you propose?" asked Korath, a spindly insectoid from the Zrith collective. "Sanctions? Embargoes? Military intervention? All options are on the table," the speaker replied. "But first, we will summon humanity's representative to explain themselves. Perhaps they can be persuaded." Chapter 6. Humanity's Response. A day later, the Grand Council chamber was packed to capacity. The holoscreen now displayed the face of Earth's representative, Ambassador Elena Cordova. Her sharp features and piercing gaze made her appear unyielding, even in the face of galactic scrutiny. "Ambassador Cordova," the speaker began, his tone carefully measured. "The Council has reviewed humanity's response to our tribute request. We are perplexed by your refusal. Do you wish to clarify your position?" Cordova smiled faintly, though her eyes remained steely.
"Certainly."
"Our position is simple. Humanity will not bow to threats or coercion. We refuse to pay tribute because we owe you nothing." The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, their voices a cacophony of outrage and disbelief. The speaker struck his gavel repeatedly, demanding order. "Ambassador," he said once the noise subsided, "perhaps you misunderstand. Tribute is not merely payment. It is a recognition of the Council's authority and the stability it provides." Cordova leaned forward, her expression unyielding. "The Council's authority is built on the subjugation of younger species. You demand tribute under the guise of stability, but in truth, it's exploitation. Humanity refuses to participate in this charade." Taliana of the Elisari spoke up, her crystalline form glinting menacingly. "And what will you do when the Council imposes sanctions? When your trade routes are cut off? Your people will suffer?" Cordova's smile widened. "Humanity has faced adversity before. We survived our own self-inflicted wounds, wars, plagues, environmental collapse. We've learned to adapt. Cut off our trade routes and we'll innovate. Impose sanctions and we'll persevere. Threaten us with war and we will fight. The chamber fell silent. The quiet confidence in her words sent a chill through the delegates. Ambassador, the speaker said carefully, do you truly believe humanity can stand alone against the might of the Council? Cordova's eyes blazed. We don't stand alone. We stand together. Humanity is more than a single planet or system. We are an idea, a force of nature, and we will not be intimidated. The delegates exchanged uneasy glances. Humanity's defiance was not just a rejection of the Council's authority, it was a challenge to the very foundations of their power. The speaker's voice was grim. Very well, Ambassador. If humanity insists on defiance, the Council will take the necessary steps to ensure compliance. Cordova's expression softened slightly, but her resolve remained. Do what you must. So will we. As the holoscreen blinked off, the chamber buzzed with tension. The Council's unity was at risk, and the galaxy teetered on the brink of an unprecedented confrontation. Humanity had made its stance clear. They would not be subjugated. Now, the question was whether the Council would dare to test their resolve. Chapter 7. The First Strike. The Galactic Council had miscalculated. Humanity's refusal, delivered with a single defiant no, had not been the feeble bark of an overreaching species, but the roar of a sleeping lion. Weeks after the Council's ultimatum, Earth was surrounded by diplomatic chatter, intercepted messages, and the unmistakable hum of interstellar warships edging closer to the Sol system. The Council had underestimated humanity's resilience and technological acumen. In Chapter 7, the focus shifts to the Council's escalating attempts to assert dominance, starting with a show of force. Scene 1. The Council mobilizes. The Council deploys a fleet of dreadnoughts to the edge of Sol space. This fleet isn't meant for full-scale war, yet, but as an overwhelming intimidation tactic. Each ship is a masterpiece of alien engineering, bristling with weapons and shield arrays thought to be far beyond anything humanity could muster. Admiral Crixel, the fleet commander, smugly broadcasts a message to Earth's leaders. This is your final chance. Submit and be spared, or defy us and face annihilation. Scene 2. Humanity's unyielding response. Earth's response is as unified as it is chilling. President Elena Vizquez broadcasts humanity's reply not only to the Council's fleet, but to the entire galaxy. Humanity has endured extinction-level events, risen from ashes, and thrived where others faltered. Your threats are nothing more than noise. We will not submit. Turn back now. The Council's fleet, unaccustomed to such audacity, advances. But as their ships enter the Orc cloud, their instruments begin malfunctioning. Unseen drones, undetectable by alien sensors, infiltrate the fleet, disabling communications and targeting systems. Scene 3. The Ambush. In a stunning display of asymmetric warfare, humanity's smaller, faster ships, known as the Eclipse class, launch from hidden bases on Pluto and Titan. Using advanced cloaking technology, they strike the dreadnoughts' exposed supply lines. The Council's mighty fleet is reduced to chaos. Admiral Crixel watches in horror as one of his dreadnoughts, the Invincible, is split in half by a kinetic strike from Earth's experimental railgun platform stationed on Luna. Chapter 8. Allies in the Shadows. The Council, reeling from its first-ever defeat by a lesser species, convenes an emergency meeting. But within the Council, cracks begin to show. Some member species, previously cowed into obedience, see humanity's defiance as a spark of hope. Scene 1. Dissension within the Council. The chapter opens with heated debates among the Council's representatives. The Xalanth delegate, a reptilian species known for its pragmatism, speaks out. Humanity has proven its resolve. If we escalate, it will only strengthen their position. Perhaps it is time we reconsider our approach. But others, like the authoritarian Merindians, demand immediate retaliation. Scene 2. An unexpected visitor. Back on Earth, a mysterious vessel breaches the quarantine imposed by the Council. It lands on Mars, where humanity's top scientists are developing experimental weapons. Out steps an envoy from the HFY Confederacy, a species thought to have been annihilated by the Council centuries ago. The HFY envoy offers an alliance. They bring ancient knowledge and advanced technology, along with a simple message. We fought the Council once and paid the price. But with you, there is hope. Scene 3. The Galactic Uprising. News of the Council's defeat spreads like wildfire. Civilizations long suppressed by the Council begin to rise, inspired by humanity's defiance. On distant worlds, rebellions erupt. Humanity quickly becomes the fulcrum of a galactic revolution. Meanwhile, humanity's scientists and engineers work tirelessly, integrating HFY technology with their own. A prototype vessel, the Excalibur, is unveiled, a hybrid warship with capabilities far beyond anything the Council could anticipate. Chapter 9. The Fires of Diplomacy. The Galactic Amphitheater was an awe-inspiring structure suspended in orbit around the Council's capital world, Luthra Prime. It was a marvel of alien engineering, a kilometer-wide dome crafted from transparent crysteel, offering a panoramic view of the galaxy's vast starfields. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the amphitheater, their forms as varied as the stars themselves. Tentacled, scaled, feathered, and furred diplomats sat in hushed tension, waiting for the human delegation to arrive. Humanity's response to the tribute demand had been simple, yet earth-shaking. No, that single word had reverberated across the galaxy, sparking debates, threats, and even covert plans to subdue this audacious species. The Council had convened this emergency session to handle what they saw as a crisis. When the humans finally entered, they did so with deliberate precision. Leading the delegation was Ambassador Elias Kane, a man whose piercing gaze could cut through even the most defiant opposition. He was flanked by his team, linguists, military advisors, and cultural specialists. Behind them marched a squad of Marines in formal dress, their presence a subtle reminder of humanity's military capabilities. The murmurs in the amphitheater grew louder, silenced only when the High Arbiter's booming voice filled the chamber. Ambassador Kane, the Arbiter began, her crystalline form refracting light in a mesmerizing display. Humanity's defiance of our tribute system has caused great unrest. We gather here to seek resolution before further measures become necessary. Kane stepped forward, his expression calm but unyielding. High Arbiter, esteemed members of the Council, he began. Humanity's position is simple. We will not pay tribute. We do not accept the premise that one species' value is determined by its willingness to submit. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the assembly. Kane's words were a direct challenge to the foundation of the Council's authority, an authority built on centuries of subjugation and hierarchy. The Arbiter's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. Ambassador Kane, the tribute system ensures stability and peace among the stars. It is not subjugation but cooperation. Kane's smile was razor-sharp. Cooperation, by its very nature, is voluntary. Demanding resources under threat of reprisal is not cooperation. It's extortion. The chamber erupted into chaos. Some species representatives shouted in agreement, while others hurled insults and threats. The High Arbiter struggled to regain order, her voice drowned out by the cacophony. It was then that Admiral Yelena Ivanova, head of humanity's military delegation, stepped forward. Her presence was commanding, her voice cutting through the noise like a blade. "We are willing to cooperate," she said, "but only as equals. Humanity brings much to the table. Technology, innovation, and a willingness to defend not just ourselves but those who seek true peace." The High Arbiter's crystalline form dimmed, a sign of deep contemplation. And what of the consequences if the Council cannot accept these terms? Kane's eyes hardened. Then humanity will stand alone. But know this, we will not fall. Chapter 10, The First Strike. As the Council's debates continued, a shadow loomed on the galactic horizon. Unbeknownst to the gathered representatives, an armada of ships from an unknown species was converging on Luthra Prime. They were the Vraxian Swarm, a race long believed extinct, their hive ships brimming with biomechanical horrors. The first warning came from humanity's fleet stationed at the system's edge. Captain Mira Solari of the HSS Resolute stared at the tactical display with a sinking feeling. Admiral Ivanova, we've detected multiple unidentified vessels entering the system. Energy signatures indicate weapons primed. Ivanova's voice came through the comms, sharp and decisive. Sound the alert.
Prepare to intercept.
Notify the Council immediately. Back in the amphitheater, the news hit like a thunderclap. The High Arbiter's aide rushed to her side, whispering urgently. Her crystalline form flared with alarm as she addressed the assembly. We are under attack. Unknown forces have entered the system. All military assets are to mobilize immediately. The chamber descended into chaos once more, but this time, it was a chaos of fear and urgency. Humanity's delegation was already moving. Kane turned to Ivanova, his voice low. Admiral, do what you do best. Ivanova nodded, her expression grim. We'll hold them off. You focus on uniting the circus. As the human delegation split, the Council's fragmented forces scrambled to respond. The Vraxian ships emerged from hyperspace like a storm, their organic hulls pulsating with eerie light. Humanity's fleet was the first to engage, their disciplined formations and cutting-edge weapons holding the line as chaos erupted. The Resolute led the charge, its railguns and missile batteries unleashing a devastating barrage. Vraxian ships shattered under the onslaught, but their numbers were overwhelming. Council ships arrived piecemeal, their lack of coordination painfully evident. In the Council chamber, Kane seized the moment. This is what humanity has warned against, he shouted. We face threats greater than any single species can handle. Only by standing together can we hope to survive. The High Arbiter's crystalline form pulsed with urgency. What do you propose, Ambassador? Kane stepped forward, his voice steady and resolute. A united coalition. Not a council built on tribute and submission, but a true alliance of equals. Let this battle be our first act of unity. The chamber was silent for a heartbeat, then two. Slowly, representatives began to nod, their forms shifting in agreement. The High Arbiter raised her crystalline arms. Then it is agreed. Humanity will lead the defense. This will be our stand, together. In the void of space, the tide of battle began to shift. With coordinated tactics and humanity's leadership, the disparate council fleets started to push back the Vraxian swarm. The Resolute and its sister ships spearheaded the counterattack, their bravery and ingenuity turning the tide. As the last Vraxian ship was destroyed, the council's forces erupted into cheers. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy had fought as one. In the aftermath, the council was forever changed. Humanity's defiance had not only saved Luthor Prime but also reshaped the galaxy's future. The tribute system was abolished, replaced by a new alliance, one built on mutual respect and cooperation. And so, humanity's one-word answer to the Council's demand became a rallying cry for a new era. No,